Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Hello, everyone. I'm so grateful to be here with you again. And we're here to help you get visibility. All right. So we've got the queen of this, Jackie Lapin, is here. And Jackie, it's just such a pleasure to be with you again today.
Daniel, it's so wonderful. I love being with you. You always are inspiring to me and make me want to really reach for the best in myself and the world.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, just it feels so much love in your presence and what you do. I mean, you're a true angel, and you're here. You're such a light worker, such a light leader, and you do it in part through this amazing work you do to help the light workers and light leaders to get visibility in the world. And so, God bless you for the work you're doing. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk to you about Jackie a bit here. But before we do that, remember, as Spiritual Rock Stars, go ahead and click on subscribe. You know, let's have some more fun together. You like my quirky self? You love this rocking it out with Source? Click that subscribe button now. Let's have some fun. All right, so Jackie Lapin is a leader in helping leaders, authors, coaches, speakers, entrepreneurs connect with their next followers around the globe. An expert at aiding them to get booked, she provides strategies, guidance, and leads through her SpeakerTunity programs, tip sheets, regional directories, and so much more that get changemakers booked for speaking engagements, radio shows, podcasts, virtual summits, and virtual networking across North America. SpeakerTunity also offers a speaker one-sheet graphic design service and turnkey success booking system. Her internationally acclaimed conscious media relations, radio, and podcast tours have helped nearly 200 luminaries, leaders, filmmakers, and authors grow their businesses, sell more books, create viewership, and change more lives by introducing them to up to 9,000 radio shows and podcasts, including such clients as Don Miguel Ruiz, Dr. Joe Vitale, James Twyman, Denise Linn, Arielle Ford, Hay House, and much more. And definitely some of these people found their way on my show. James Twyman, for example, definitely came to my show. And it's because I got messages from Jackie's team. So that's how it happens. And you could maybe end up on my show with Jackie's help. We'll get into all those details later. So we're going to get into that right now, actually, start getting into it. So Jackie, I'm really fascinated. I don't know if I've asked you this before. I wanted to start with a very simple, profound question. How in the heck did you get to doing what you're doing right now? What was the impetus for that? I don't know if I've ever asked that question. I'm really curious about that.
Well, it really goes way, way back to when I was a little girl, and my daddy had cancer when I was 4. And fortunately, he survived, but it was a very tough time on our family. And so he moved us to an area that was very different from where we came from. And as a result, I was not accepted. I was considered, too different from everybody else, and completely ostracized by my peer group. Anybody else I know what that feeling is like? So I decided that there were 2 things in my life that I loved, which is the Los Angeles Dodgers and writing. And I'm going to put my 2 great loves together. I'm going to be a sports writer. And that's what I told my parents I would be at the age of 11. Wow. And so from there, I went on to be at the Detroit Free Press, at the Associated Press, and on the front pages of the LA Times, and at the Washington Post by the time I was 22 years old. So with that trajectory, I went on to have one of the largest sports special events and cable TV PR agencies in America for 20 years. And I had a world-class client list, from everybody from Toyota to the National Hockey League to on and on and on. And the last thing I did was launch the worldwide poker phenomenon. But for me, there was something else calling. The media was changing. That wasn't any fun anymore. But I got this calling to write 2 books. One, the first is called The Art of Conscious Creation, How You Can Transform the World. And the second one was Practical Conscious Creation, Daily Techniques to Manifest Your Desires. And I'm really excited. The first one just went up on Audible. And the second one was the best spiritual book of the year at the International New Age Trade Show. When I got done with that, I realized that my heart wasn't in sports anymore. It was in helping the leaders of the world that were making the world a better place. And that's when I rebranded the company as Conscious Media Relations. And that's when we started doing the radio podcast tours about 12 years ago. And actually 10, I think. And so we continued to do that over the last several years. And then some of them said to me, well, can you book me for speaking engagements? And I'm going, I don't want to do that, but I know where they are. So why don't I just tell you where they are? And that's how our other brand was created, SpeakerTunity, where we give leaders contacts where they can book themselves for speaking and all those other things that we talked about so kindly in the introduction. So, I live in 2 worlds, one where done for you on the radio tours. And then on this other side, where we just kind of pull together the tools, the data, the resources that make it easy for people to be visible. But one of the things that I want to do today is kind of educate people about what they can do and all about this world of these things, of visibility opportunities, so they can do it themselves. Or, hey, if we can help you out, that's great too. But I want people to know that if you have a message and you have a mission, the world is waiting for you. And you should be out there delivering it because somebody needs you. And that's what's really important to me, to be able to facilitate that in whatever way that means. So that's a little about my story of how I kind of worked my way around that. I say that I follow God's breadcrumbs and just do where I'm directed to go. And so I've reinvented myself so many times because I'm listening to that guidance, to that spiritual voice in me that says, there's something that you should look at here. And I do.
Yes. Okay. And that's exactly why you're on the show, is because we're looking for people to reinforce, that truth that we have to listen. We have to follow that guidance each step along the way. And so much more is possible. So much more is available. Our mind is typically evaluate ourselves as, you're not good enough, or, that's not going to go quite right. And therefore that means this and that means that. When we get into a space of just listening deeply, everything's provided. Everything's provided. The clarity, the insights, everything we need. But cultivating the listening, I think, is really so important. And then we have to have, we have to allow ourselves to let the angels, the guides, and the earth angels too help us. That's why we have this show, is to bring people to our listeners so that we, is part of the support to be able to get your message out there. So this is so valuable, what you do. There's so many ways you do it. And I know, like, one of the things is, Jackie's really doing this from her soul, true spiritual rock star fashion. It's not like, oh, this is just the way to make money, like, she's actually has a deep spiritual calling to get you in front of people, which is something that's so preciously admire about her, what she does. So people who are feeling like they're weirdos and they've got a big thing to do, but they feel like they're not ready. Hey, I'm not ready. I don't know. Am I ready to speak yet? That's one category. That's going to be some of our listeners. What do you have to say to people that feel they're just not ready? Yeah, I got a big thing to do. I got a big message. I'd love to talk all over the place, but I don't know if I'm ready. What do you tell people like that?
Well, you have to get off your duff. I mean, that's the first thing. That doesn't mean that you need to go out and talk on big stages right off the top. There's lots of ways to get proficient at speaking. First of all, there is Toastmasters, which is the easy, simple community, support group, which helps you get to speaking. Secondly, you can put something together and go out and test it on local stages with friendly communities, your local chamber of commerce, your local Rotary, your, masterminds and groups of people that hone it, get it to the point where you're seeing results. People are feeling comfortable. You're feeling comfortable on stage. And the third one is get some coaching from some great speaker trainers. There's wonderful people out there that can do this for you. And really give you everything you need, from crafting your speech to a stage presentation to being able to enroll people from the stage. All of those things are things that somebody can bring you along to make it more comfortable for you. Part of it is knowing that you really do have a message, and you're honing it down and figuring out what it is that you're going to present and what it is you're going to offer. You have to have some kind of product or resource that people are going to want. And, that is critical so that you can make your stage presentations monetized. Because the opportunity to get paid to speak is going to be like nil at this level. You're going to have to be able to enroll people either with a free offer, so you get them into your community and then make an offer to them later, or to make an offer from the stage that they get engaged with. And that free offer can simply be as a free offer of a consultation. There are lots of different ways. In fact, I have a resource that's really helpful for people if you're trying to figure out what you can offer from the stage. It's called 44 Ways to Seduce Your Next Client, from radio shows, podcasts, stages, virtual summits, and virtual networking. And you can go there and just get it at speakertunity.com/seduce. And I'll repeat that again, speakertunity.com/seduce. But if you don't know what to offer, it's going to give you a whole lot of great ideas. So you want to, one, have an idea of what you want to present. Two, you want to get proficient on stage. And three, you really want to grow into your confidence. And the thing about growing into your confidence is it's the positioning that you take. If you go on stage thinking, oh my God, what are they thinking of me? Oh, I don't look right. I don't speak well. They're going to judge me. I guarantee you it's not going to be a pleasant experience. However, if you go on stage thinking, I am in service to this community, they need what I have, and my job here is just to get this information to them so that they can grow and expand and solve the problems in their lives, then those butterflies, when you get on stage, are going to go away, because frankly, they aren't judging you. All they want to know is, what do you got for me that's going to make my life better? And if you remember that, and not, it's about me, it's all about them, you should have great comfort on the stage. Maybe a few butterflies in the beginning, but once you step in and step on it and start delivering your content, that stuff should go away.
Yeah. Amen. I know, like for me with speaking, when I speak, I find that, it's so interesting when it comes to speaking, or I've heard this too in acting. It's like sometimes in the acting field, I've heard this too, that when you're actually just everybody says be authentic, but if you're trying to be authentic, then it doesn't come across quite right either. So it's like, it's literally just be yourself, and it seems like the most basic, simple advice, but that's one tip I would give people. There's so many different things you could do with speaking, and I've taken trainings like everybody has, I suppose, but it's like, honestly, after I've taken them, I really feel like just being myself in some ways is most effective. There's different things you could structure to lead them to offers and things like that, of course. But overall, that's a very key foundation. Just be yourself. You'll be amazed. I mean, one of the things you've seen the stages I've spoken on a couple of times, I think, Jackie, and I'm not saying I'm a great speaker, but one of the things that I've learned is like when I'm trying not, like, for one of my sweet spot seems to be humor. Like, I'm just kind of naturally funny to a number of people anyway, when I'm on stage. And I'm not trying to be funny most of the time when I do that. I'm just being myself. It's like, oh, you're being funny. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. I'm being funny. I mean, I'm just being myself. So the gifts that you have as a speaker come from truly just really just being completely surrendered to being yourself and just being there, just having, having fun, being connected with the audience and providing what it is that you energetically, emotionally feel they need. And just that comes up. It's like that download, right? You just feel that energy moving you and you allow that to guide you as much as anything. So, but we could do a whole show on the whole art of speaking, I suppose, alone, right? So, but yeah, I mean, it's so important. Toastmasters, all those things can be very good places to get us ready and having that offer, having an offer, knowing what the heck you're standing for and then having something concrete to give. So if you don't have that, you need to create that and need help with that, then you need to talk to people like me or Jackie or somebody, to maybe help you with that. So Jackie, let's say they already have all this stuff. All right, let's go there next, because some people maybe they already confident, they have a speaker thing, a gift offer, they know what they do and everything. So how can they? What are some of your tips? You offered the 44 ways, right? So we'll give them that link of the show notes. But so that is going to have a lot. But can you share today with us some of the ways that they can start to really fill in their speaking calendar and really rev things up and skyrocket with their speaking?
Well, the first and foremost thing is you have to make time for it, because people say, I will get to booking myself sometime this week. And they get to the end of the week and there is no time in their schedule. You actually have to make an appointment with yourself in your schedule, 3 hours a week, just to focus on the booking process. If you don't do that, it is going to pass you by. And as you said, as I say, if you can't make the time, you can't earn the dime. So you really have to commit to that. The next thing is you need to have 3 presentations, not 1, because if you have only 1 arrow in your quiver, it had better be a bullseye. But if you give people a choice, these speaker bookers, they're going to find one of those 3 that's going to resonate with their audience. And there's lots of ways to parse this. It could be 1 for a spiritual audience, 1 for a mainstream audience, 1 for an adult, 1 for youngsters, 1 for experienced, 1 for inexperienced. It could be one's a keynote, one's a lunch and learn, one's a workshop. Give people a choice. And that is really important. So you really need to have those 3 compelling presentations kind of reframed before you start this. And a simple way to make them compelling is you write a really exciting, snappy title to it. You put in 1 paragraph description, and then you have 3 or 4 bullet points of takeaways. What is the audience going to learn in this particular presentation or workshop? Because then the host can also then use that for promotion, etc. But that's the way that it's most digestible, and it's what you're going to put in what we're going to talk about in a minute, a speaker one sheet. So that's, it encapsulate those. So the next thing is you need a great speaker one sheet, and a speaker one sheet is a 2-page document, professionally designed, preferably, that will position you and showcase you as the powerful speaker that you are. And on the front side is going to be your bio and a headline. And that bio and headline is going to point to one important thing. What is the problem you solve for that audience? It's not about you, it's about them. So it's written in that format. Then there might be a couple of testimonials on this page. And then on the back side are going to be your presentations. When you put it all together, it's really slick, and it's sexy, and it makes you look like, like you're an ideal speaker for them. And that, as you mentioned, is something we do, but you can do it on your own. If you have your own designer, there's just lots of simple ways to make this look fantastic. So you need to put one of those together. Now, the next thing is, where do you find those speaking engagements? Where do you start looking for them? And the next thing the first thing I can tell you is tap your inner circle. People that know speaking opportunities, and we're talking virtual as well as on stage these days. Of course, in a world of COVID, much of everything has gone virtual, but trust me, a good half the meetings in this country that were physical are now virtual. So I just heard that the number of daily speaking opportunities in the United States went up from 7,000 to 9,000 because there are now no borders. And so those opportunities are out there. So tap your inner circle, your friends, your other fellow speakers and professionals, your mastermind group, your family, everybody that that's one way it's going to do work for you. The next thing is you can start doing what we do at SpeakerTunity, which is getting on Google and start looking for things. And you can do that, for example, if you're looking for a particular kind of meeting like women's networking or entrepreneur meetings or healthcare professionals or whatever it is, put in the name of the kind of keywords you want plus your market, and they will come up. And that's the best way. You really want to start local because local people like to book local people. And you can expand and you can go anywhere, but local is the lowest barrier to get in. And so you can look on Meetup. It's another great resource, and most of those meetups have gone virtual as well. And then if you're looking for more corporate kinds of things, then you want to go to LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, you can put in either the kind of companies that you're looking for, and look for either their sales and marketing people or their human resources people, or you can simply go in and do a search for meeting planners and conference organizers and people with titles. That would be the kinds of people that would give you speaking opportunities, and those opportunities will pop up for you. The next thing I wanted to talk about is if you're looking to do bigger events. And there are a couple of really good sources. One is called Events in America, which which gives you about 6 months out what the next conferences are going to be, and by genre, or by, if you just want health and wellness, or if you want seniors, or if you want manufacturing, whatever it might be. And then it also will give you by location, so whatever your region is. So that's a great resource for you. And then another one is the directory of associations, which you can search by state, or you can search by subject matter, and they're going to give you all kinds of associations. You can check in with those associations and find out when their conferences are, when those calls for speakers go out, et cetera, et cetera. Now, other great opportunities are getting on other people's stages, like Dan and I often do. And a lot of those are, just your colleagues that might give you an opportunity, but some of them pay. And they want you to pay to get on their stage. Now, want me to tell you how you can avert paying that? The way to do that is put on your own event, one that obviously is attracting a big enough audience that the person whose stage you want to get on wants to talk to your audience. If they want to talk to your audience to pull people over to their event, they're going to do with you what's called a stage swap, which means that you can be on theirs, they can be on yours, and there's no money exchanged. It's a great way to get on lots of other people's stages. So that's just this kind of a summary of the speaking environment. But there's more we can talk about, as in radio shows and podcasts. Shall we go on and talk a little bit about that, Dan?
Yeah, in a moment. I just wanted to pause just to recognize all the value you just gave. I mean, this is a lot of stuff. And what I just wanted to comment too on the Google search thing. Everybody makes everything so complicated. I went to a training with included one of the very most top paid speakers in all America. And very much so, probably maybe the top. And he said, what he told us to do to get speaking gigs, Jackie? You know what he said, what it takes?
What?
He said, Get on Google, get over it, babies. And you probably know who I'm talking about the way I'm talking. Get over it, you babies. Get to work and just start calling people. All right, just Google them up and call them. We're spending this money to be in this trend. This is what they told us is the big way to get but it's true. It's like you just have to do the work. Dial them up. You know, you can get techniques after that, but like just get on Google. That was his number one tip as far as where to find speaking gigs.
I have 9 researchers every day that does just exactly that. And we're building, you know, we have hundreds of thousands of speaking opportunities in our database at this point. And all we're doing is going to Google.
Yeah.
We track 1,500 organizations that have national chapters all over the country, US and Canada, because we know that there's very likely to be one in your community. So, you know, just find your tribe and go look for them on Google.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and one of the nice things that you offer is to save people the time so they don't have to spend, because you were like, you know, spend X amount of hours every day. And even Thready, he's like, I could outwork all of you. If I needed to do it, yeah, I can outwork everybody in this room. So it's like, yeah, so he's like really emphasizing how much work you need to put into it. And that's great. That's beautiful. And
we can come up with as many as 1,800 to 2,000 speaking gigs in any one market. Any one market in 4 categories: business, service, direct to consumer, and spiritual. They are out there. They are out there. And don't overlook that. It's really important for you to realize that those stages are not that difficult to get on. Yeah. You just really need to be in contact with the right people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I found with speaking gigs, it's like, a lot of it, like you knock on a door, you find a way, you know, to talk to the decision maker, so to speak, right? The people that are in charge of it. And even if they say no, you know, a lot of times they'll say yes later. They might even call you back eventually. Like, well, you know, we're thinking about you for this time. We really love connecting with you. So a lot of it is planting seeds too, and eventually those things come back to you. So when you
you could be sending stuff to people by email, you know, your pitch and your speaker one sheet, and they're not answering your phone calls. They're not responding to you. Well, and by the way, there's a rule of 3. Don't bug them after you've tried to phone them twice or emailed once or emailed once and called twice, and then found them, try them on LinkedIn. Try them on Facebook Messenger or LinkedIn. And if they don't respond at that point, let it go, but you might hear from them later.
Right. Right. And that's something to keep in mind as we're cultivating that field. We don't know where the opportunities will start to pop up. I think people give up way too easily too. So I just want to put that out there. So yeah, let's move on a little bit. Let's get into radio shows and podcasts and all that stuff. How do people get on some of these various radio shows, some of them, and how do you figure that out? Like, what radio shows should I be on? What podcasts? And is it around size? Is it around niche? Is it about both? What do you recommend? Yeah, all those things.
Well, I recommend it's niche. That's the most important thing. Don't go for size, because especially unless you're at the top of your game and you really have had, you know, hundreds of podcasts. You know, start at the level that you're going to really work up to that. And so go to your niche. That's really where the sweet spot is. And whatever the size of the show is, and then you can be more discriminatory as you go up the ladder. And I want to talk first about what you use to get on them, and then I can go through each genre and we can talk about access and how you find them and you get on them. Is that okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is a pitch letter. This is the tool that's going to get you booked. Now, sometimes you can also use a podcast introductory sheet as like a backup and a support document, like you do when you attach your speaker one sheet to the pitch that you're sending for yourself as a proposal. It's like the same thing, but the radio podcast, the best pitch thing to do is to basically write a pitch that explains what it is that is going to ignite, solve the problem for, interest the listener. What's in it for them, what's going to get them excited and interested what's your story that's really going to make a difference. We usually, there's a kind of a simple format to this if you can, and it could be up to a page and a half. If you can keep it to a page, better. But the simple formula is that first compelling paragraph has to really catch them. It has to, tell them what's pertinent, what's timely, what about your story is astonishing, what you're doing in the world that is, setting it afire. You can ask a question and answer it in an intriguing question. You can give them make it connected to a holiday or a trend or something that's going on in the world. Build that initial paragraph so that it draws them in. Then the next paragraph is much more about you. Why you? What is your expertise? Why are you the authority on this topic? If you have a book, you say I'm the author of. And then the last part of the letter should really address what it is you're going to present. And again, we like to say one paragraph and then 4 bullet points so that they know that your listeners will learn, your listeners will discover. So when you put that all together, and with a good, really compelling subject line at the beginning, so that you'll actually get them to open it, something that speaks to not just, I want to be on your show, but what's the subject matter? Then in fact, you can capture them and get them to open and read it. So that's number one. Now let's talk about where you can put this. So with broadcast radio, the optimum opportunities are, again, local broadcast. Getting on national, that's great, and it's fabulous, and if you can get it, it's wonderful, but the majority and the simplest ones are going to be local for you. So go Google radio stations in your region, and then look at their websites to see which ones have locally produced shows. Morning shows are usually locally produced. Then there's oftentimes on the weekends, health shows or women's shows or general interest kinds of shows or business shows, whatever. Find what it is in your interest area. Every now and then you'll find a mind, body, spirit show on broadcast. And then usually, and sometimes on the website, they'll have an email. But a lot of times they won't. So you have to do the very old-fashioned thing, which is get on the phone and call the station and find out exactly who is responsible, the producer or the host, and sometimes it's both the same person, and their email. And then you send them the pitch. The next thing is internet radio. Do not overlook internet radio. It's still a powerful force in the world. And so if you want to go find internet radio, there is the 2 great aggregators, Blog Talk and Voice America, and they have channels, and you can find your genre in those channels and go search them down and data mine those. And a lot of times they actually will have the host's email address in a lot of those particular shows. Now, the other is for vertical networks in their genre. For example, BBS is Mind, Body, Spirit. HealthyLife.net, bet you know what that one is. Business Talk Network or Women to Women. I mean, you can tell that they're what they are, and you can go find those particular kinds. The next thing is podcasts. Now, everybody loves podcasts because they're so directed to a community of people that are really interested in this topic. You're going to find them on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and lots of smaller podcast networks all over the place. Again, they have genres where you can go and find subject matters, and some are by subject matter, but here's the problem with podcasts. They don't give you email addresses, almost never. You are going to have to go to that host's personal or radio show website to find their contact information. And oftentimes there isn't contact information. You actually have to put it into their contact submission form. So you can either put your full pitch in there, or you can send them a little email saying on the contact form, how do I submit to get on your show? Is there an email? Is there a form? Some have actually a form on their websites that say, apply to be a guest here. So that's the best way to find podcasts. If you're going to be doing it on your own, and that's obviously one of the things we do is provide you lists of podcasts on a subscription basis monthly, so that we just send you 40 of them every month, so that it makes it really easy. But so, if you want to do it on your own, that is the key to doing it. So.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of elbow grease, I mean, it really is. When you're working it, like you said, you take at least 3 hours a week to dive in. I mean, that's just a bare minimum, really. I mean, if you really want to rev it up and get things going, and really, when you think about it, like 3 hours is not very much. So it's just a matter of getting started with a lot of things. If you're really serious about it, just get committed. Just like anything else, I always tell people to meditate. Well, if you haven't been meditating, maybe you need to start with 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, get something going, and then know that, like, yeah, I should probably be doing at least 3 hours a week, like Jackie said, right? So,
well, and you can also hire a good VA, but don't just say, here, do this. You need to give them guidance. Yeah. You make sure that the materials are what you want sending out. You want to direct them on what to say, how to do it, what the email should look like. You don't just send them out into the wilderness. You give them clear direction and content and let them go from there. So you don't have to be the one to do it, as long as you're directing the process very consistently.
Yeah. And you got to be careful who you hire for that, because I have hired people and you don't know, how it's going to work out. So you got to find, I would say too, that would be one of those areas, Jackie, I would say, yeah, absolutely, you're right. And then I would say, like, sometimes you're better off doing it on your own, because you're building energetic connection with people. When you do it direct, that builds that. So it can go either way, but sometimes there's a benefit to doing it yourself as well.
I would agree. Absolutely, I would agree.
Yeah.
Should we talk about virtual summits?
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah, let's talk about virtual summits and how do we get into those?
So virtual summits, just to make it clear, everybody knows what these are. This is where somebody who is a host invites a lot of other people to come on this summit to talk on a very similar topic over the course of 1 or more days, could be as many as 30 days. And these individuals are responsible for the content they deliver during that 1 hour that they're on the summit. And they're responsible for telling their community about this particular event. So that the benefit for every participant is that they're going to be exposed to people who they never would have had any exposure to before, because they're coming in from other people's opt-in lists. So it's a great opportunity to increase your opt-in list and to expose people to you and whatever it is that you're marketing, whether that's a book, whether that's a product or a resource, but it gives you much wider visibility. So that's what it is. Now, let's talk about what it takes to get hot on the summit circuit. Now, the first thing is that you need a compelling subject to talk about, but all of these summits are themed. So you can't just simply go in and just offer the same thing you talk about all the time, unless it's an automatic fit. You have to actually change your pitch to the host to make it comply to what that host is looking for that particular summit. And excuse me, sometimes it requires you to either just adapt what you have and just maybe change the title on it or something like that, or to really actually steer the subject matter in a different direction, or to create something from scratch. All of those are possible. So that's the first thing. You have to have something that's going to get you in the door that's the theme for the host. The next thing is you have to have a great freebie, those 44 ways we were talking about, with a good landing page, because 99% of these are going to be free offer summits, where at the end of your presentation, you invite people to take advantage of some free offer, whatever that might be. And you need to be able to send them there with a clear and simple URL that they can go to and get this freebie, and on a page that is no confusion. It's simple. It's all it is that particular product.
Amen.
Exactly. Don't make them hunt for it on your website somewhere.
Yes.
And here is the most important thing that I hear from every summit host. They say to me, oh, these people beg to get into my summit. I put them in the summit and they didn't do the promotion. I mean, what a waste. I had all these minimal spots and I got people who are dead weight. Yeah. So if you want to get hot on the summit circuit, do everything that they ask you to do in the promotion. If you can't do the number of solos and social media, etc., that they ask you to do, don't commit to it. If you're going to do it, you got to fulfill your commitment. That is number one. Yeah. The next thing is you need to have a mini media kit. And that isn't a massive media kit. It's a little paragraph and the bullet points for what your presentation is, a 2 to 3 paragraph biography of you, a short description of your freebie, and your social media links and your website. That's it, a page and a half. That's all you need, because they're going to copy and paste that information into their promotional materials. And you don't want to have them search through things to find it. It's also how they're going to introduce you on the air. It's a little package that makes everything easier for the summit host. The next thing is there are a few summits that will invite you to be on that are revenue share summits, which means that you have to sell a product of from $97 up to about $397. And the host will share the revenue with you. It's about generally a 50-50 split. So if you're going to be in one of those, you actually have to have a product defined at the different price points that they want, and be ready to jump in and say, yes, we can sell this particular product as part of the information package that I give, and then offer them the next step. So that's something that you want to have ready to go. The next thing is you want to have as good a list size as possible. Not every summit requires a minimum list size, but most do. And that generally starts around 2,500 and goes up from there. So if you don't have it, then go participate in a lot of giveaways and other things and get your list up, because it'll get you into more summits. The smaller the list, the harder it'll be to get in. The larger the list, the easier it's going to be to get into things. So grow your list as best you can. And then the last thing is you got to have great content. I mean, people don't want you just to spend your time talking about, you or your, whatever you're selling.
Story about how your dog died or something, when you're 3 or something. Yeah, things like that. Yeah, those are the mistakes people make. They get too deep in all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to get deep in the woods, and you've got to give valuable content, tips, suggestions, methodology, steps, education, and then you can get into your whatever it is, your invitation toward the end. And so that's how you really get hot on the summit. Now, how do you find them? Well, watch your emails, because you're going to see lots of them there, and you'll know who's putting them on. The next thing is look at your mastermind groups and the groups that you're part of, and see who's putting them on, or even suggest that you all get together and do one. That's a really cool idea. And then other guest presenters. If you see people on summits, it's oftentimes they're putting on their own summits. So kind of watch and reach out to them and say, hey, if you're doing something, I'd like to see if perhaps that, I could be on your podcast, be on your summit, et cetera, et cetera. So that's all the ways to do that. And again, SpeakerTunity has a resource called SpeakerTunity Summits, where we give them all to you, exactly which ones are coming up for the next month. And we give you giveaways so that you have an easy source of finding out about those summits before they're already booked, which is the curse of a summit. You usually hear about it after it's already booked. Mm-hmm. So that's basically, the simple and easy ways to make it, to get visible, to get out there in front of people.
Yeah, and on the summits too. I mean, I've been a host to a number of summits, and then also been on a number of summits, and so I would just say that it's just, I mean, I think really on any of the speaking, including the summits, is really connecting with the host about why what you've got is so awesome, and really connecting with them personally. I think in every case is really a real key, if you don't have things like list size, because Sometimes you can. I mean, it's possible if you have a list of a few hundred or whatnot. There are some hosts that will consider you even because maybe you tell them, hey, but I have like a 50% open rate or something like that on my emails. I have a very engaged list. Some hosts will listen to that. It's what I always have found so bizarre, and I've done it myself, is we only ask about the list size. We don't ask about how effective the list is. So it's like the most ridiculous thing, really, when you think about it. But it's just the way it is. It is like Jackie says. They just look at the how many. That's kind of a big deal. So, but yeah, I just would encourage people to always go for it and let people say no, but just always go for it. Whatever the opportunity, if you really feel the energy, you really want to do it, just go for it. Hear lots of no's. That's the key to all success, right? You have to be willing to hear all those no's and just keep at it. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
so Jackie, I know that you have so much more to share. We do have uh, we do have like when you actually get in front of somebody and the actual bookers and you're trying to really get booked, let's say in person, or it could be online too. Um, you've mentioned this, but like any last tips on really getting people to say yes consistently? Are there any extra, tips on that?
Well, I'd say that you have to approach it from a relationship building standpoint.
Mhm.
And even if somebody says no, make sure that you don't show your distress and disappointment. Just say, like, hey, no problems. Let's stay in touch and I'll see if I can come up with something that find out from them what they're looking for
Right.
and try to fit what it is that they need and then come back to them. But it's really all about getting acquainted with people. And one great way to really get bookers to connect with you is go meet them. So if in the old world when we're actually doing events, go to people's events where you want to meet the people whose stages you want to be on and start building those relationships. I mean, that's one of the ways that I've done it all throughout the years. People get to know me, they know what I do, and so they either call me or I start to pick up the phone and call them. So circulate in your environment, and start building those relationships that are going to open up for you.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, the best way is through video conference, be it Zoom or whatever. That's your second best way. I mean, it's not the same as in person, but it's the second best way. So definitely make sure you get on that if you're still a phone person. I highly recommend you consider, because there is another level of connection that you get with the video conference, that I find anyway, that it's helpful. And I find like most people are relationship based and energetic based, and they're more focused on that than they're focused on, okay, transactional, what's your list, blah blah blah. Like that's
Well,
that tends to be secondary for a lot of the people out there. It kind of depends on what level that they're at and operating with their podcast or their show or whatever. But a lot of times, the kind of the average, about 80-90% of the people out there are much more relationship based. If they feel connection with you and your topic, they're likely to have you on their show often, is what I find anyway.
well, and the other thing is there's a new thing called virtual networking.
Mhm.
You used to have in-room networking, but now there are all these meetings that are going on all over. We've identified over 200 of them where you can just pop in, introduce yourself, start making connections with people that are prospective new clients. But the hosts oftentimes have a guest speaker. And it's a great way to get acquainted, get active in that community, and then become a guest speaker in those kinds of situations. We've identified 40 that are just for women. So, there's just lots of opportunities, even if you're not delivering a full speech, to get that kind of visibility that may lead to an opportunity for more extended exposure.
Yeah, those networking meetings are so hot because when you get in there, just being in a group where, hey, we're both at that meeting builds like a connection that you'll be surprised how powerful that is. That is so powerful that you were even in the same virtual meeting area with maybe even hundreds of people. We were there together. It's huge. It's huge. It's like something I think people wouldn't imagine could be as powerful as it is once you start noticing that that happens, if people are newer.
Well, and a lot of them go to breakout meetings. So
Yeah.
you are specifically in a small group of people for the purpose of getting to know each other. That's what I love,
Yeah.
you know, and then you exchange emails and contact information, and then you set up meetings later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all about connection. All right, so Jackie, I know you're just so amazing at have so much, but amazing information. You gave a lot today. People probably are like, "Oh my God, there's so much here." Where can people go to maybe download something? I know you have a free gift for that. You've already mentioned one. So, what are one or two different free gifts that I know you had to offer? Can you share that with people now so people can, physically get that, online and have these amazing, tips and factors and, ways to connect with these people that book speakers?
Well, the first thing is, why don't I give everybody a free test, a free experience in SpeakerTunity? We have our 3 subscription services, SpeakerTunity Speaker Leads, which give you leads all over North America, and it's built for a transformational leader. The next one is SpeakerTunity Radio Insider, which gives you 40 radio shows and podcasts every month. And the other one is SpeakerTunity Summits, like we were talking about, virtual summits and giveaways. And I'd like to give everybody a month free. It's called, you go to speakertunity.com/free-trials. Speakertunity.com /free-trials. Now, the one thing I will tell you is, yeah, you do have to put in a credit card. I'm going to be real transparent here. But before 30 days are up, we're going to send you a notice saying, if you don't want to continue, opt out now. If you do want to continue, just stay on. But you're going to get so much great value. And so then I want to invite people to come over to SpeakerTunity to see all the different resources that we have, because we've got so many different things for you. I think that, if you're interested in podcasts, and specifically podcasts, I have another freebie for you. It's called 20 Factors that is going to tip the scales in your favor to get booked on a podcast. And then you go for that one, you go to consciousmediarelations.com /podcast. consciousmediarelations.com /podcast. So all of those tools and resources, I think, are going to really get you on the right road. It's going to make your life really easy, and it will give you, a smooth path to start getting yourself out there.
Yeah, I mean, literally, if you just take the time to just be present with the opportunities that will be given to you through either thing, SpeakerTunity, a free trial, to get they have endless resources free. It seems like that. So
one more.
Oh, I got more coming. I got more and more. Okay. So yeah, there's always more. And I want to say something else. I've been part of all that. And the thing is like, it's like the level of generosity is just through the roof. I'm connected to stuff I've signed up with Jackie that I continue to have access to, that I signed up in the past for, that maybe I'm not active in anymore. I'm still getting information about it. I'm still getting leads. I mean, it's like, it's just like, like you got more rice in the box kind of thing. I'm like, there's still more in there, it's just endless. Just so grateful for that, Jackie.
Thank you. So the last thing I want to do is I want to invite everybody to come over to Changemaker Collaboration Circle. It is my Facebook group, which brings together leaders so they can cross-promote, get to know each other, find their common folks, and you can promote everything that you have in your arsenal, whether it's a book, a podcast, a program, your specialty, your videos. We have 35 threads a week. So we invite you to post and find joint venture partners there. So it's an ongoing, it never ends, and it is designed for the transformational community. So please avail yourself of it. Just go to Facebook and look for Changemaker Collaboration Circle.
Okay, great. We'll put all those links in the show notes as well, and take advantage of it. And it's nothing to lose, for free. So check it out. And Jackie, so you've shared so much, and there were a time of the show where I like to just share some quick downloads I have for my guests, so maybe what I'm seeing percolating for them and their energy and what's wanting to unfold. You ready to receive today?
I am, Daniel. I love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let me go ahead and start tuning in. Ah, thank you, God. All right. Wow, okay. So I'm seeing, like, I don't know if you've ever considered doing this or maybe you've done it, but I see you creating like power cards or oracle deck cards. I see angels on them. Like
Oh, wow.
that. Yeah. And so I feel like you probably have them already, but like I get this for your work, probably for the, kind of going in the future here, but I feel like the more you can give people something tangible they can get in their hands at this point in time is going to be really important, because you've been doing all the things that you're talking about today, but it's not as tangible in terms of getting things right in someone's hands. So like the more you can do that with all your work, I feel that's like a really important step for your energy and your work right now, is getting tangible things in people's hands, and that's something that came through. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah, so yeah, something Changemaker or something, it would probably be a part of that deck or something. I'm not something in there, but that's for another time maybe. Let's see. I just hear from the archangels. They're just saying that, and you're doing a good job, but with the things you're doing, and they're just saying all of it. Bring all of it, Jackie. So there's just more of a, like, we're here, we're waiting for you, like for all of it to be shared. So all the things, all your light worker gifts, everything, they're just like all of it, share all of it. And so you do that in the areas that you do it now, but they're like, and even more, just all of it. So that's the message I'm hearing today. So I just want to share those couple of things with you today. And I think with our time frame, I think that's what I'll leave it at for today. So Jackie, any quick thoughts on any of that stuff?
No, that's really interesting. I think we're in for a very big year. We're launching a new product
Yeah.
every month this year, and
Yeah.
that's really exciting. And so I'm trying to be as much out there as I can, and to find more ways to share from my heart whenever I can. So
Yes,
thank you.
well, I know that about you. That's no lack of activity from Jackie. That's for sure. So yeah, and then yeah, just letting that light worker energy come through even stronger, and seeing that might actually bridge your other businesses is an opportunity that might get a little clearer to you in this year, is my feeling. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
I'll be looking for it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So everyone, I'm so grateful to have you tune in today. But let's give you a moment, Jackie, if you have any last words to share with people today. Any last things you'd like to share?
The simple answer is don't hide your light under a bushel, as they say. Make sure that you shine it in as many places on as many platforms as you possibly can. We're all here to change the world in better ways.
Yes, and so it is. All right. Okay, everyone. I'm just so grateful to be with you all, and I'm just so grateful for the energy that's here, being together with Jackie and what's unfolding for our world. um, these times, like at the time of this recording, there's things that happen in the world that just get us our blood boiling maybe, or we get upset. But these are catalysts for us to go forward with our work on another level. Don't become distracted or discouraged. Allow yourself to continue to deepen in your connection with source and spirit, and rock it out. And that's where all the good stuff is, and that's where all the sense of changes can take place as well. So anyway, so thank you again, Jackie, for being here today again. And thank you to the audience that's listening today. And again, keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here on Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye for now.
for listening to Spiritual Rockstar podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.